Welcome back. We are still on the topic rates. In the previous video, we learned about speed. In this video, we are going to apply what we studied in the previous video to solve a question. The question for this video is: a car is traveling at an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour. Find A, the distance covered by the car in 3 hours. B, the time it will take the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. So here, the average speed of the car has been given to us as 80 kilometers per hour. We are going to use this average speed to calculate the distance that the car will cover in 3 hours. We also use this speed to calculate the time it will take the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. Let's begin with the first part of our question. We know that the average speed of the car is 80 kilometers per hour. We want to find the distance that the car will cover in a time of 3 hours. So for the first part of our question, we are going to find the distance that the car will cover in a time of 3 hours. So time is equal to 3 hours. And from the question, the average speed of the car is 80 kilometers per hour. From the previous video, we learned that average speed is equal to the total distance covered divided by the time. Here, we have been given the average speed of the car. We also know the time, so we are going to substitute this information into this formula to find the distance. We are looking for the distance, so let's represent that with a variable. Let's say that let S equal to the distance covered by the car in 3 hours. So now the average speed of the car is 80 km per hour. The time is 3 hours, and the distance we have represented it with X. Okay, so the average speed is 80 kilometers per hour, the time is 3 hours, and we have represented the distance with S. Let's substitute this information into the formula. Average speed is equal to 80 kilometers per hour, distance is X, and time is 3 hours. So we have 80 kilometers per hour is equal to X divided by 3 hours. We now have a linear equation. So we are going to solve this linear equation for X, which will give us the distance covered by the car in 3 hours. From linear equations, we know that to find X, we will have to multiply both sides by the LCM of the denominator. The denominator here is 3 hours. So you multiply both sides of the equation by 3 hours. So you have 80 kilometers per hour times 3 hours is equal to X divided by 3 hours times 3 hours. When you do that, we can see that 3 hours and 3 hours will cancel each other out. So 3 hours and 3 hours will cancel each other out. And this will give us 80 kilometers per hour times 3 hours is equal to X. Now, what will 80 kilometers per hour times 3 hours give us? I'm going to explain how the units cancel each other out to you. We know that 80 kilometers per hour can be written as 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour, because 80 divided by 1 will give us 80. Kilometers divided by hour will give us kilometer per hour. So 80 kilometers per hour can be written as 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour. If 80 kilometers per hour can be written as 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour, then 80 kilometers per hour times 3 hours can be written as 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour times 3 hours. So we have 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour times 3 hours. Now when you have this, you will see that hour here and hour here will cancel each other out. So we are going to have 80 kilometers divided by 1, which is 80 kilometers times 3. 80 times 3 will give us 240. So 80 kilometers times 3 will give us 240 kilometers. So x is equal to 240 kilometers. Remember that in an examination, you don't have to do this. I did this here to explain to you how the units cancel each other out. So the distance x, which is the distance covered by the car in 3 hours, is 240 kilometers. So we can say that the car covered a distance of 240 kilometers in 3 hours. Let's look at the second part of our question. The time it will take the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. So we are going to find the time that it will take the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. We already know that the car is moving at an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour. And we want the time that it will take the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. So distance here is 200 kilometers. We know that average speed is equal to distance covered divided by the time taken to cover that distance. Here we have average speed as 80 kilometers per hour. We have distance as 200 kilometers. So we are going to look for time. Let's represent time with a variable since that is what we are looking for. So let's say that y is equal to the time taken by the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. So now we have average speed as 80 kilometers per hour, distance as 200 kilometers, and time as y. We can substitute this information into the formula. So average speed is equal to distance covered divided by the time taken. Average speed is 80 kilometers per hour. Distance is 200 kilometers and time is y. This is now a linear equation. So we are going to solve this linear equation for y. To find y, we multiply the left hand side and the right hand side by y. So we have y times 80 kilometers per hour is equal to 200 kilometers divided by y times y. When you do that, you will see that y and y will cancel each other out here. So you have y times 80 kilometers per hour is equal to 200 kilometers. To find y, we divide the left hand side by 80 kilometers per hour. We divide the right hand side by 80 kilometers per hour. So we have y times 80 kilometers per hour divided by 80 kilometers per hour, and this is equal to 200 kilometers divided by 80 kilometers per hour. So y will be equal to 200 kilometers divided by 80 kilometers per hour. If you are not clear on how to solve this type of linear equation, please watch the video on solving linear equations that is available on this channel. Let's get back to our question. So we have y is equal to 200 kilometers divided by 80 kilometers per hour. Once again, I'm going to explain to you how the units cancel each other out here. 200 kilometers divided by 80 kilometers per hour can be written as 200 kilometers divided by 80 kilometers per hour. In the previous slide, we learned that 80 kilometers per hour can also be written as 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour. So we will have 200 kilometers divided by 80 kilometers divided by 1 hour. From fractions, we have learned that this can be written as 200 kilometers times 1 hour divided by 80 kilometers per hour. We learned this in fractions, so you can watch the videos on fractions to understand this clearly. So we have 200 kilometers times 1 hour divided by 80 kilometers. Now when you do that, you will see that kilometers and kilometers will cancel each other out. 200 here is the same as 200 divided by 1. So you have 200 times 1 hour, which will give us 200 hours, divided by 1 times 80, which will give us 80. 200 divided by 80 will give us 2.5. So 200 hours divided by 80 will give us 2.5 hours. So here y is equal to 2.5 hours. But remember that y is the time that it will take the car to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. So we can say that it will take the car 2.5 hours to cover a distance of 200 kilometers. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. In the next video, we are going to solve another question on speed. Bye bye.